As my boy Aubrey Graham would say, we out here looking for revenge. That's Drake, if you don't know. We playing Dirty Not Clean. Little Drake puns to start it off today as the Oilers host the Columbus Blue Jackets for the second and final time this season. And we all remember what happened in their last meeting. There's been a few low points this season. That was definitely one of the most notable as they look to avenge their 6-1 loss in late October. Hello, what up? Welcome to Pregaming with Bordzy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant. We're back in studio, and we're feeling good, and we're back with my boy, Sean Panganiban. Pangsy. How we doing today, my guy?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me back, Bordzy.
Yeah, always appreciative. Panger always brings the snacks when he comes here. Last time, I think he brought 3 bags of chips, and today, he walked in, pulled out of his backpack, an entire cheese and meat platter that we are going to be munching on all night tonight.
Yum.
Also joined by the man behind the scenes, Patrick Puff. Patty, how we doing?
Great. Ready for a win?
Yeah, we're ready. We're back. It feels good to be back in studio here after we had, a week off, 5 days off. We had weekend games. I did it from home, Tuesday from home. Feels like we're back in the saddle, and the boys are back on home ice tonight. We're feeling good about that. Let's check in with the chat. First comment of the day, my guy Austin's in, and he says, let's fire it the F up, Bordzy.
Let's go.
We can swear here. Let's fire it the fuck up, Austin. Let's go. Southpaw, shout out to this. I also believe have the stat here in the tweet as well. I saw it. Penalty kill this season, the first 15 games for the Oilers, 59%, 32nd in the league. The last 10 games, they're up to 95.5, first in the NHL.
To quote Aubrey again, started from the bottom, now they're here.
All right, that's 2 Drake references. Let's see what we can get. We're Team Drake. We are not Team Kendrick over here. It's bullshit. He's playing in Toronto. Also, see, number 1 fan says, let's rip the Jackets off their backs and get a big W. Vinny, let's go, Zach. Prove to Team Canada you should have been in the 4 Nations roster, and prove to them you should be on the 2026 Olympic roster. Ooh, I haven't even thought about that. I'm still holding out hope. Liam said it today too. And I don't hope that a Canadian gets injured, but I guess I kind of do, that Zach will be one of those replacements. We'll touch on that in just a moment. Also, number 1 fan says, Zach pulls a Sam Gagner tonight, gets 8 or more points. Wonder what those odds are on Bet365 tonight for an 8-point night. Jades, which team shows up tonight? Who knows? That's the thing about the Edmonton Oilers this season. I also, before we get going, this is just a Bordzy thing here. I want to wish you all a happy and very merry Krampus, as it is Krampus today. If you or anyone in the chat knows what Krampus is, please let me know. I celebrate it every year. It is basically an old Australian folklore of a demon Santa that goes around on December 5th, and he grabs all of the bad children and stuffs them in a sack. And I believe he tortures them. There's actually a Hollywood movie right there. Yeah, there's children being stuffed in a sack as well. The Bordato family is very weird. Me and my brothers celebrate this every single year. We tend to do it. Like, how creepy is that, dude?
Pretty creepy.
That is terrifying. My oldest brother bought like a $300 like mask and head that is that.
Oh.
With like the Santa jacket on. It's insane. But Merry Krampus. Let me know how you and yours are celebrating Krampus tonight. I think we're going to order some oodle noodle to go with our meat and cheese platter we've got this evening. But all right, before we talk about the Oilers, I do want to talk about Team Canada a bit, as rosters were announced yesterday. Shout out to Dregs, Chris Johnson, Pierre LeBrun, because those dudes had it sniffed out before it was even announced. But there you see all the names. Notable, only one Edmonton Oiler on that list. There's no Zach Hyman. There will be no Evan Bouchard. And I got to say, in my own personal opinion, there are some questionable names on this list, maybe ones that I would have changed. Colton Parayko is one I didn't see coming. Anthony Cirelli, Seth Jarvis. As much as I love Seth Jarvis, I'm not really complaining about that. I was a little shocked by that. Anthony Cirelli, obviously one of them. Sam Bennett as well. And you got to think that maybe the NHL executives on this team were pulling more strings than others, as we got John Cooper's 3 Tampa Bay Lightning players, Hagel, Braden Point, who I'm totally fine with, and Cirelli, and then Doug Armstrong. He's got Binnington and one Colton Parayko. I'm curious here, Panger, let's talk forward group first. Is there anybody you would have traded out? For me, I think it is blasphemy that Mark Scheifele is not on this team over Anthony Cirelli. That is just batshit nuts to me. There's a couple other names there. That's my most notable one. Let me know in the chat if you guys would make any swaps, Pang, or what's going on in your brain.
Like I said, I think you and I kind of share the same brain in regards to hockey thoughts. Mark Scheifele, I think he's like top 5 in goal scores. I mean, you got Sam Reinhart. No, Sam Reinhart
Sam
should
Bennett.
be there. Sam Bennett. That's a little peculiar one, but at the same time, I think it's he's a point per game right now, and I think McDavid said today he's played 8 years in the like. As
I didn't know that
together.
after he said that. I was like, okay, I'm totally fine with it. Totally.
So and you know what? I liked what Sam Bennett brought in the playoffs last year. So maybe they're just adding a little bit of oomph to the lineup. So, but it's still overall a little bit puzzling. I would have put Scheifele there.
Yeah, I think that's the name for me. There's obviously others, but just Mark Scheifele. I get that Anthony Cirelli is a defensive-minded forward who can produce points. No knock on Anthony Cirelli. All of these players are good players. I just think Mark Scheifele's been that and more for way longer in his career. And I don't know, Scheifele's just got that clutch gene in the chat. Southpaw says, will we see Krampus postgame? I got to make some phone calls to try and get that mask over here for postgame. Why did I think about that? Also, Kale says, Seth Jarvis made it and Zach Hyman didn't. Shake my head. Yeah, thoughts on Zach Hyman not making the roster? Obviously, having a tough season so far this year. But if you're talking like the last 365 days, I think Zach Hyman is the top of that list. There's a look at his numbers this season. He will be back tonight when we talk Edmonton Oilers in just a minute. But, you know, you'd think in a 4-game tournament like this and you see it, there's a number of teammates on this roster, and it's all about that chemistry, built-in chemistry. You see Theodore Pietrangelo and your Hagels and Points and Sorellis, but you would think Zach Hyman would apply to that to be on Connor McDavid's wing on that top line. Thoughts on Hymes not making the roster?
Yeah, I think Zach Hyman over the last 3 years, he's like top 5 in goals with regular season and playoff goals. Yes, a slow start to the season, but like you said, that chemistry with the players that Team Canada has, he would have been a good player of in case of emergency that these players don't actually mesh with Connor McDavid.
A good 13th forward, if you will.
Yeah, he could have been the Chris Kunitz to the Sidney Crosby circa 2012. So the fact that they left him off is still puzzling, and I hope that he uses that as motivation to show him, hey, you guys made a mistake.
I said, you still got 2 months, so you can, if that injury thing can happen, who knows, Hymes? I'm looking forward to it. You look at the defense on there. I mean, I think it's a little bit more set. I was shocked by seeing Colton Parayko's name on this. Even Travis Sanheim, like I had heard rumblings of Sanheim. I didn't hear shit about Colton Parayko. Yeah. And then you see him on that list. Josh Morrissey, totally fine with. The other names on there, totally fine with. Notable omissions include one Evan Bouchard. Drew Doughty is one I know Tyler's been banging that drum a lot, that regardless of his age and his health, whatever, if Doughty is good to go, it's tough to say no for what that guy has done with the maple leaf on his chest. I thought Dougie Hamilton could have been a guy possibly in this lineup. Morgan Riley, I wouldn't say so. Aaron Ekblad, I stand up for guys named Aaron. You know, when we talk about like the Eastern bias as well, I was watching TSN this morning, couldn't believe my eyes. There was a whole segment talking about that they were shocked Chris Tanev didn't make Team Canada and that he is the best shutdown forward in the entire NHL. I was tuned in for 2 minutes. I turned it off after 2 minutes and 1 second. Couldn't take it anymore, but thoughts on the back end. Would you have changed anyone here? And thoughts on Bouchard not making it? I wasn't set on him doing it with Cale Makar being your power play whiz, and Josh Morrissey probably going to be running power play too. He's a stud with the man advantage, but thoughts on the decor and no Bouch?
Yeah, like you said, I think if Evan Bouchard were to make the team, he would have been a power play guy. But when you got Cale Makar there, I'm looking forward to Connor McDavid and Cale Makar on the same power play. But that being said, just due to his inconsistencies and his defensive woes this year, he didn't make it. So I'm okay with that. But again, like Zach Hyman, I hope that serves as motivation of like, hey, I got to get my act in order and prove Team Canada wrong. So the one puzzling piece, Colton Parayko, I had to look up his highlights to see is he even still an effective player? Apparently so.
Local boy, shout out. We like that from, and you just mentioned the power play there though. Let's play a fun exercise. What does Team Canada's power play 1 look like? McDavid, McKinnon, Sid?
Yeah.
Makar? Yeah. Who's your final name? Mitch Marner? Reinhardt?
I mean, would you be looking at another defenseman there?
Pull that list back up. Yeah. I mean, you could go 4-1. You could go double D.
I mean, Josh Morrissey, I would say, would kind of round.
Yeah,
up
I mean,
that
you
team.
could. Let me know in the chat what you guys would think. Pat, would you go 4-1 or would you go 3-2?
I'd probably go 4-1.
I think
still.
4-1.
I do like the idea of Reinhardt.
Yeah.
He seems like he's a bit of a net front presence for the Panthers, so I can see that.
This is just a fun game
Yeah,
to
it's
play. I got to
It's
pull
good.
out the Chell rosters and start messing around with this thing. We also looked at the goalies: Binnington, Aiden Hill, and why am I blanking on the final name? Sam Montembeault. That's why I'm blanking on the final name. It's Sam Montembeault. No shots. He's had a good season so far. Stuart Skinner not going to make this one. It felt set that it was going to be Binnington and Hill for a very long time. Who do you think? Go around the room, Pat, you included. Who's the starter game one for Team Canada?
Pat start?
Yeah, let Pat start because you hesitated, so I'll let you breathe. Pat.
I personally go with Aiden Hill, a bit of a recency bias too, because we just played him and he played unreal, and we have haunting memories of him in the playoffs as well. But I think Aiden Hill's been solid. His numbers this year, not great, but he has that gamer potential to just absolutely turn it on any night. So I think, and personally, not a huge fan of Binnington.
No.
He's also a gamer who has a lot of attitude. Like, he gets excited in games and he can be physical and he gets really into it, but that can also be distracting. So if I'm the coach, I'm going Aiden Hill probably.
Banger.
If Team Canada is looking for someone to tend the net and also look to drop the gloves, they'd go with Binnington. But
international play, that's usually what happens. Goalie fights.
Yeah. But overall, I would have to say Aiden Hill. And I mean, like you said, recency bias. I mean, look what he did against the Oilers, against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl last game. I'd go with Aiden Hill.
Vinny says Binnington Hellebuck fight. That would be so sick. I wouldn't even complain about that one bit. I think Aiden Hill, without a doubt, while his numbers, like you mentioned, Pat, they're not as good this year, he's the more consistent goaltender. He is way less of a head case than one Jordan Binnington. And I don't know, I'm just more confident with that guy in the net. He seems to move better. And obviously, this is all recency bias, like you both mentioned. Sure. This is all because he stoned the Edmonton Oilers the other night. Now, I also think, to an Oilers perspective, when we talk about Team Canada and the omissions of Oilers on here, Nuge also could be included in that, but you look at those names the year Nuge just had. I don't think anyone expected him to make it. I'm turning this into a positive thing that with the season so far, the way this has happened for the Oilers, maybe, in fact, less is more, right? And that you just saw Zach Hyman's been out for 10 days, 14 days, whatever, resting his body. Evan Bouchard, it's been up and down from every game. Nuge been way more down than up. I think after a huge run to the NHL Cup final last season, right in the playoffs, they haven't had a lot of time to reset. We saw that 5-day break look very nice for the Oilers. Power play PK came back looking good and whatnot. I think this is a good time for them to reset, step away from hockey, and really gear up for that stretch run, right? Take a week in Cabo. Go over to somewhere you need. Go tan. Do what you got to do. Don't think about hockey. Rest your mind. Rest your body. Or is that strictly loser talk coming out of my mouth right there that I'm just coping that there's only one Oiler?
No, I don't think so. The Oilers are the oldest team in the league. And I think you're right. Some time off will benefit them. Look at that 5 days off. It really benefited Nugent Hopkins. I saw you mentioned he looked like vintage Nuge in the game right after, where he's stole the puck in overtime, zipped down and snapped it. So I think the
low blocker too.
Low blocker.
That's when you know.
With death taxes and Nuge low blocker, absolutely. I think the break is probably good for him.
Iron Duke also is my favorite new nickname, Bill Bordzy, just because I live by the name off these sponsors. Bill Bordzy, what are the chances of Stu, Hyman, or Bush making Canadian Olympic team next year? The Stu one's tough, right? Because you don't know what he's going to do game to game. I don't know what he's going to do year to year. You know me, I'm a firm Stu believer. I would think he'd be one of those three goaltenders. I think Binnington might age out a bit. I would assume Aiden Hill being on that team. But Sam Montembeault, he's been very good as well. Bouchard, I'm using the word lock. Bet365 ain't on the screen. Lock to make Team Canada in 2026. And the Hyman one, I don't know because he's on the wrong side of 30. And if you didn't make this one, you've got up-and-coming talent. You got your Celebrinis. You got your Connor Bedards. You got a lot of young Canadian talent coming up. So I'd go Bouchard for sure, and the other two. Stu, I'd probably be more confident than Zach Hyman. What about you?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I honestly think that their snub is going to motivate the heck out of all three of them. Especially in Stuart Skinner being a young netminder. I think he's like 24. For him, it's weird that, he just can't start good, but he bounces back. But I think this is going to be a really good motivator for him. So yeah, I think there's a good chance for Stewie Skins.
Just another thing to bounce back from Stuart Skinner. There we go. Also, Ekholm and Arvidsson made Team Sweden. Ekholm was viewed as a lock. Arvidsson, I don't even know if he's going to be healthy enough to play in 2 months. We'll talk about that in just a second. I say good to both of you guys. But with Arvidsson, for how injury prone he is, as an Oilers fan and a guy that our team's paying him $8 million for the next 2 years, I don't want you playing extra hockey that isn't with the Oilers sweater around your equipment. It's just not worth it, in my opinion, as RV has been a Band-Aid. But, yeah, so there you get a look at that roster as well. Team Sweden, we make the joke. So Liam is doing an exercise. He's making Team Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland all under the cap. He's trying to do it under the cap, and he's doing Team Finland today as well. And he goes, I think just this team is under the cap. There's a look at Team Sweden as well. But let's talk about some Edmonton Oilers right now, because we're getting fresh blood, fresh life into the lineup tonight. Zachary Martin Hyman is going to be back, which I think the Oilers knew, as it felt like seconds after the Vegas game, they kicked Drake Kajula back down to the AHL. I don't even know if I'd started the postgame show and they had already announced it. And I was like, okay, that means Zach Hyman is going to be back. He's been out since November 19th with that undisclosed injury, which I feel like every injury is going to be undisclosed this season. He's going to be welcome back a ton, right? Kasperi Kapanen, been good in that role, but he is not Zach Hyman. He doesn't have the 50-goal potential. And yes, Zach Hyman, Pat, can you pull those numbers back up of his first 20 games? 3 goals, 3 assists. Not great, right? We all know this, 54 goals last season, but here's some numbers to show you he's been around the action. Shout out to our boy Jason Greger and Liam. Liam did game notes. Greger did the game day breakdown. Check it out, Oilersnation.com. But Zach Hyman has been around the action, and despite missing 5 games, he still ranks second among Oilers players in individual expected goals and individual scoring chances. Also, he has 46 high danger scoring chances, which is 7 more than the next Oiler. He's still been getting his opportunities in tight. We've just seen a lot. The puck luck, the bounces, they weren't going like they were last season. His shooting percentage is at 5.9%, which over the last 3 years, it has been 15%. So it's going to be that progression back to the mean. So we're going to get that. I'm expecting the resurgence right now for Hyman because, A, he's healthy, but his line mates as well. They're cooking. Connor looks like a man possessed lately, back to being the best player on planet Earth. And Nuge, while some of those goals, yes, one was an empty netter, he just starting to look, like we just said, vintage Nuge once again. And hopefully that trio can find the chemistry that has made them arguably the best line in hockey for 2-3 years now.
Absolutely. And yeah, I like it. He should be healthy now. And I think him having 3 games off and seeing someone in the spot like Kasperi Kapanen should kind of motivate him. And they say, hey, you know what? I don't want this guy taking my job. And again, and just with the stuff from Team Canada, I can expect a highly motivated Zach Hyman tonight. Yeah,
and like I've enjoyed what Kasperi Kapanen's done in that spot. I think he's done a good job of finding those quiet areas. Like the goal he scored was just wide open in front of the net. He was standing there for 5 seconds going, okay, I'll wait here. And Zach Hyman is a man who knows that situation all too well. Hopefully his puck luck turns because, as I mentioned, 5.9% shooting percentage. We got to bump those numbers back up. It is the return of one forward, but it is not the return of another top 6 forward in one, Victor Arvidsson. In fact, we got bad news today regarding Victor Arvidsson. Nobby said, and I quote, "It hasn't quite healed the way we assumed it would have." What has healed? Because I still don't even know what the injury is. Nobby said there's no timetable for his return. I'm sure Team Sweden went, oh, shit. We didn't know that. But this will be the 10th straight game that Arvidsson has missed. And he's yet to even skate with the team, apparently. I mentioned we don't know what it is. Nobby called him 50-50 on November 14th. It's December 5th today, so we don't know what is going on. And you know, man, the lack of clarity is what has me very concerned. We know RV's history. We know he's a Band-Aid. We know as you get older, these injuries can start to nag. He missed 50 games last season with a back injury. I am very worried that the reason they haven't mentioned this is because it is, in fact, his back, and I'm still on the right side of 20. I'm told once you get in your 30s that your back can go, and if your back's going, the rest of your body is not going to be there. So maybe we're all as a fan base. It's also kind of feels like everyone's turning on Arvidsson right now, even me included, because just a little frustrated by what's going on. And the fact is, this dude is owed another $4 million next season. They didn't sign him for 1 year. They signed him for 2 years, $8 million total. I am a little bit nervous about this. Thoughts on Arvidsson and this cloud of obscurity around this injury right now?
Do you think with him being European that he's missing tonight's game because he celebrates Krampus?
That's an excellent point. He's probably dressed up right now. Could you imagine?
But yeah, I don't know.
Is Krampus big in Sweden?
I don't know what's up with him. It's a mystery. And it, leading up to his injury, he was looking pretty good with Leon Draisaitl. Wasn't converting as much, but he was looking pretty good. And it's his 10th game. When one is out of the lineup, an opportunity knocks, and that's how I'm going to look at it. Hey, this is a big opportunity for Kasperi Kapanen tonight.
Krampus is huge in Sweden. Krampus is huge in Sweden. Let's go. Respect, boys. All right, Arby, you take the night off. I respect your holidays. You can respect mine as well. Arvidsson one's weird, and brother, I just have no confidence that I know what's going to happen anytime soon. Let's talk tonight, though. Blue Jackets, they come to down. And the last time we saw them, it was a 6-1 shit stomping at the hands of those Jackets. The Oilers lost 6-1. The last goal came in the final minute to ruin an Elvis Merzlikins shutout. Arguably the worst performance of the whole year. There's a couple to pick from throughout. Is the Oilers, they've been shut out 4 times this season. It could have been 5 had they not scored in that final minute of that goal, of that game. Sorry, Columbus, though, 11-10-3 record on the season, 7th in the Metro Division. They love scoring goals, but they love giving them up as well. They're 8th in the NHL in goals per game. They are also 29th in the NHL in goals against per game. And they've got sneaky young talent all over it. We'll go through their lineup a little bit later on, but offense isn't everything. We know that, being the Edmonton Oilers. And through November, no team has allowed more goals against than these very Blue Jackets with 53. I like the over tonight. Game notes in a second. I'll tell you the history of these scores. They tend to go up. But thoughts on the matchup tonight? We got revenge on the brain, and I just don't want to be embarrassed again by this team.
Yeah, I think with the Oilers getting shut out last game, and McDavid and Draisaitl had good chances last game, and the fact, aren't they celebrating Connor McDavid's 1,000th point?
They sure are. Puck drops at 7:14.
I read on Twitter that perhaps the Ma and Pa McDavid are in town, and the younger McDavid does like to shine when his parents are in town. So I'm expecting a big game for McDavid, and big points night for him. Yeah.
Thoughts on the over tonight? Do you think we're going to see a couple goals this evening?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's get into our need to know info courtesy of Will Hawk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products earn that sweet, sweet Will Hawk name. Made from 100% pure Alberta beef, their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. Gladly find their stuff, their jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location. For more info, go to willhawkbeefjerky.com. Panger, I'm appreciative of the pepperoni sticks you brought today. They ain't on Will Hawk Beef Jerky level, and I don't think you're offended if I'm going to say that. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah. They're so good.
Exactly.
So good.
We got to go to Leduc. Field trip, boys. Let's go stock up on Will Hawk Beef Jerky. Oilers side of the need to know. Pat, can you just throw up the Oilers lines that we are expecting this evening? Because there were some shuffles, right? We got Hyman back in. Top line, Nuge, McDavid, Himes. Second line, Podzilla, who we've just been loving. I know you've been a Pods guy, with Leon Draisaitl and Kasperi Kapanen sticking in the top 6. Third line, Janmark, Rico, and Skin Dog. Fourth line, Corey Perry, Derek Ryan, and one Connor Brown. Deep pairings, they're going to stay the same as always. Ekholm, Bush, Nurse, Stetch, Kulak, Emberson. Now, we always think of, right, Columbus scheduled loss. So many comments today in the chat about that. And while I understand it's a 6-1 shit stomping the last game, it's a completely different story when the Edmonton Oilers are on home ice. So check this out. Over their last 5 trips to Edmonton, Jackets have only won 1 game. The Oilers won 4-1 last year. They lost 3-2 the year before. Before that, 5-2 in 21, 4-1 in 2020, 4-1 in 2019. So not as much of a mismatch as we all remember. It's just on the road. And in those last 5 home meetings, McDavid, 3 goals, 7 points. Nuge, 1 goal, 5 points. Leon also with 5 points, but no goals. Strange. You would think Leon, who we got a stat on that one later of the total of his Oilers goals. It's insane. You mentioned it. The Oilers, they're going to honor Connor Mick 1000 before the game tonight. Puck drop expected to be 7:14. So we got time to pour ourselves a beer here as well. And, make our oodle noodle order as well. Calvin Pickard going to be in the net tonight. 9th start of the season. He's 5-3-0, 2.50 goals against, 895 save percentage. And in his career, picks his 2-3-1 against Columbus, 885 with a 298. But those games came a long time ago. So throw it out the window. The other side of the coin for the Jackets. They enter this game after emotional is not even the word to describe it. The other night, Tuesday in Calgary. First meeting between the Jackets and the Flames in Calgary since the unfortunate passing of Johnny Gaudreau. I don't know about you. I'm becoming a softie in my old age. I was tearing up, welling up through that, man. Watching Monahan take that ceremonial draw with tears in his eyes was tough to watch. Obviously, the post game, they brought out Johnny's dad, and it was incredible. And the Jackets, they lost 3-0. That has got to be incredibly hard to play that hockey game. I give them full credit. But they're going to come out tonight very motivated. Zach Werenski, he leads this team in points on the back end. His point per game, 26 in 24 games. Team USA defenseman. Now that team is loaded. They put the fear God into me. Kirill Marchenko leads the team in points with 10. He's a point per game, or in goals, he's a point per game player. Sean Monahan, he's got 22 points. Pretty damn good year. Jackets, a lot of injuries as well. Erica Branson, Yegor Shinnikov not going to play tonight. Gavin Brindley, and of course their captain, Boone Jenner, who hasn't played all year. And then, this is why I like the over. Daniil Tarasov is going to get the start this evening. 3-4-1 record with an ugly 403 goals against average and 861 save percentage this season. But in one game against the Oilers, he is 1-0. He had a 935, 2 goals allowed in his career. So who knows, brother? We've been goalie before, but you got to think those numbers this season. I like the Oilers' chances. Let's go now to our Sherwood Ford Giants storyline, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant. Tired of dealership hassles? Well, Sherwood Ford in Sherwood Park is all about convenience and upfront pricing with their Giant Deal program. Get clear, no-nonsense pricing on new and used Fords online with all incentives included. Plus, enjoy the ease of mobile service, free pickup and delivery, and same-day or next-day service appointments. So there's 2 things you can go here. Storyline A, revenge. I am petty. I hold grudges. Ask all my ex-girlfriend. I'm kidding. But we remember that all too well. And yes, this is a Columbus team that can score goals, but they allow them. And I don't care what the numbers say. The Oilers should light this team up tonight and one Daniil Tarasov. And do it for your pride tonight. There you get a head-to-head team comparison of the 2 teams. The Oilers, last goals against, we're leading in that one. And look at those power play and PK numbers.
Jeez.
Those are dead even, literally, on the power play, and then a difference of 0.6 on the PK, because the Oilers in the last 10 games are 95% on the penalty kill. But it's a pride thing, it's a revenge thing. But furthermore, these are 2 points that you need to pocket. We just talked about this before the show. If you look at the upcoming schedule for the Edmonton Oilers, their next 6 games are against the St. Louis Blues, Tampa Bay Lightning, Minnesota Wild, Vegas Golden Knights, Florida Panthers, and Boston Bruins. Yeah, pull it up for me, Pat, because that is a murderer's row. Now, you get a little San Jose and you get a little Ottawa in there right after, but that's 6 games that you're going to be lucky to get, I don't know, half of those as W's. So you'd like to bank 2 points tonight against this Jackets team. That's my storyline of any means necessary tonight, because you're looking at that. What do you think about that upcoming schedule, Panger?
You know what? I'm going to just go on the contrary. I think that's something that the Oilers are probably looking forward to. They're going to wake up for those games. Yep. I think they're looking for meaningful games. I didn't realize how tough of a schedule they have. I think they're going to wake up for those.
and then San Jose will pump the Oilers because they'll be a letdown game of all games. I could see that happening way too accurately. All right, let's you can just pull the lineup again in case anybody missed it there, Pat. But we just went through her, and the most notable part about that lineup is the top line, right? You're bringing them back, Nuge, McDavid, and one Zach Hyman, and I've liked Kasperi Kapanen in that role. He has been good. I'm curious about your thoughts on Kapanen so far, right? Because Nabi must be liking what he's seeing because he's continued to stay in this top six. In fact, has he ever left the top six since the moment he's joined here? I'm pretty sure he's been in that role. I always make the joke, Jeff Skinner's just shaking his hand going, the fuck's the guy got to do to be rewarded that spot? But he's not going to be on that top line. He now plays with Podzilla and Leon Draisaitl. Connor Brown did occupy that spot for the last couple games. I thought he was good in spurts. I felt on the last one, and it's just what we know about Connor Brown. His ability to finish goals, just really not there. He had a wide open cage at the side of the net, completely fanned on the puck, and we all remember last season. We don't need to remake the map. We don't need to pull that out again. Took him 55 games. So I'm interested in your thoughts on Kapanen staying in there and what you've thought of him overall so far, because he hasn't been anything crazy. He has been serviceable in that role, but he plays with speed. I like that. He's moved his feet a lot, and he's drawn, I think, 3 penalties in the games he has played. And there's one argument you could maybe make about Dry and Pods. Maybe not the lightest on their feet, not the quickest on their feet. I would think Kasperi Kapanen could push the pace on that trio. Thoughts on Kapanen staying in the top 6, playing with Dry and Pods tonight?
Absolutely. I think if you paid attention to my articles, I do some like fun facts.
I pay attention.
Thank you, man. I do some fun facts, and I researched them in depthly, and just he's got tons of skill. And when he was drafted, he was the highest rated European skater out there. So he's got skill, and we've seen it. Like you said, his speed, he beats out, sorry, what am I trying to say? He's hard on the forecheck, and he wins battles. And the one thing that I've really liked is that he hits Connor McDavid with good breakout passes. And I think right now with his opportunity with Leon Draisaitl, it's huge for him because he's a former 20-goal scorer. He could do exactly with like Podkolzin and get the puck to Draisaitl, get open, and like the goal against Colorado there when he got open, just bury the chances. So tonight is a really big opportunity for Kasperi Kapanen.
McKine Dry says this will be the best line for us. Davin, Dry likes a speedy winger. I agree. Also, Davin said, Pods is a faster top speed than Holloway this season. Yeah, so does Matthias Janmark than Connor McDavid. I'm not really going to go off that, but I get the point that you are making, and I'm liking that trio. You also look at that top line. One thing that I do think Zach Hyman brings to the offense specifically tonight, right? That Vegas game, we couldn't funnel any pucks to the dangerous areas. There was no traffic in front. In Vegas, give them credit. They're a physical defending team. That was by design, and they did a very good job. But what do we know about Zach Hyman? He lives in that blue paint. He lives for second chance, third chance opportunities, which in that Vegas game, but even more so the last couple of weeks here, the Oilers haven't been getting those chances. As much as Bag Milk uses the term shoot from the parking lot, that's all well and good. But if you don't have dudes in front of the net trying to screen the goaltender, trying to get a rebound or deflection, I don't know if I'm really up with that motto. So the two things have to come hand in hand. And Zach Hyman, that is what he is all about. I feel like the Oilers, they just got to roll up their sleeves and get greasier, right? That's something Corey Perry at the beginning of the season was doing a great job of. Now, dude's like 40 years old. I expected this fall off to happen. That's something he's not doing as well right now. That is Zach Hyman's bread and butter. I'd like a nice greasy rebound garbage goal in the front of the net tonight from Zach.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, like the puck luck for him hasn't really been there last season. How many pucks went off his face?
He scored off his ass. He scored off his skates. And he was a third post. Pat just put it in the chat that he's basically a part of the net.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The difference between him and a Kasperi Kapanen in the third period received a pass from Evan Bouchard in the slot in the third period. And I think he was just unexpecting of that pass. Zach Hyman might bury that. So I'm really looking forward to his return tonight.
I look at that Connor Brown opportunity that he had at the side of the net, and all I could think was, okay, Zach would have buried that at least. Zach, I think, would have. But as we know, 5.9 shooting percentage this season. I make the joke every show we have to talk about him. Jeff Skinner and our Jeff Skinner update. Where are we at with our boy? Because I've been saying it every game here. He's looking better, and he's looking like he's finding a home on the third line. I texted you this morning, and you had some thoughts on that as well, because it looks like that's a third line that's starting to really control some play. And I know you think of a third line as your stereotypical checking line. These three haven't maybe necessarily been that. They've had some good offensive puck possession numbers. And when you think about Skinner, most notably, right, it's good in offense. We all know that. Shot prop tonight. We like it. It's juicy plus money. But it's all about defense and being committed to the structure and everything. Back checking. Last game against Vegas, specific play. Can't remember if it was the second or third period. Skinner back checked like crazy, got back in the play, lifted a stick, prevented a could have been goal. I'm not going to say would have been a goal because Stuart Skinner was on his game in that one. But Jeff Skinner, you like that. That's what's going to get you back into the good books, and maybe he'll get that top 6 opportunity. I'm curious, do you think that's coming anytime soon, or do you think he's going to be staying on that third line? Fans, they're all over the place with Skinner. It's either trade him, cut him, put him in the top 6, or I don't even know what else could be. Thoughts?
I think tonight will be like their 5th game with that trio playing together. And I really think they're starting to gel. And a reason being, I think Jeff Skinner's starting to buy into the Oilers system a little bit. For example, the bottom 6, they don't have a Connor McDavid. They don't have a Leon Draisaitl make something out of nothing. They need to work as a unit. And one thing, when they're successful, their forwards go hard in on the forecheck, get the puck back to the defense, D to D, and get the puck to the net and let the forwards go to work. 2 games ago against Colorado, Jeff Skinner did that. Won a puck battle, D to D, got it to your boy, Brett Kulak, front of the net, and they scored. Brett
high, low, low to high kind
exactly.
of deal. Yep.
And so with Jeff Skinner, he's using his teammates a little bit better. Last game, he fed 2 passes to Henrique, good scoring chances. So earlier in the season, he was going, like you said before, the Evander Kane school of thought on every puck on net. But now he's taking those moments and finding the better play. And as a result, that third line is showing a lot more chemistry.
As much as I love that, also, Skin, keep ripping the puck tonight. I need 3 shots on goal. Okay, let's not get crazy with anything. Pang, cut his mic, Pat. Cut his mic. Once you ripping that puck. Also, people in here, apparently Hemsky's in the building tonight.
Nice.
Everybody's here for Connor Mick 1000.
Nice.
Actually, I mean, I guess it's just celebrating. Connor
Fun
Mick
fact,
1000.
his sister-in-law used to be lived across from me for the longest time. We became buddies.
Hey, there you go.
Shout out Ray.
Let's go. Shout out Ray. Come on now. Tune into the show. I know she's watching. Of course she's watching. Sure. Further one that just talking about the offense and comes into those dirty areas is the Oilers. We've been shut out 4 times already this season. And I mentioned we scored 1 against Columbus in the final minute. Could have been even worse. They were shut out 3 times last season. And I'm no math guy, but Gregor said that they're on pace to get shut out 13 times. I'm going to take his word for that, but that math does sound semi-accurate to me. And I don't know. It's crazy. This is a team that has been defined by offense, power play merchants, whatever you want to call them, outscore all your problems. And it's simply not happening right now. And this was the stat. Leon Draisaitl has scored an NHL high 23.6% of his team's goals this season. And I feel like a broken record because, I mean, it's just been kind of the theme of this season is depth scoring on the wing, scoring from everybody else, not named Connor, not named Leon. And we've seen it recently, right? Pod scored 3 games in a row, and it does start to look like he's getting confident. You had a great point in your article. Yeah, look at that number, 23.6%. Shout out Leon. Shout out the Rocket Richard. Get your bets in now, people, if you can still get plus money. But we need to see other guys score. You mentioned an article the other day, as I do read all of your stuff.
Thanks, man.
I think I read every article on the website. I mean, I do work here. But you were saying how you can visibly see Pods' confidence building. Nothing more notable than going on a 2-on-1, looking off Darnell Nurse, faking the pass, and shooting 5-hole on Karel Vejmelka. But, right, Pods is now kind of getting rewarded for his work. Like, his numbers are reflecting his work ethic, would you not say?
100%. I've been a big believer in him since the start of the season, and just the subtle plays he makes, the board battles he wins. And like you said, he just visibly looks a lot more confident. And it's been noted that he's out in the practices 25 minutes before and putting in the work. So it's so good to see a player get rewarded for his hard work. And yeah, here's hoping he just continues.
Pat, can you just finally, before we move along here, show up that PK tweet that we had from Sportsnet Stats that I believe Davin or Southpaw, somebody mentioned off the hop. Because this is just crazy, man. The Oilers penalty kill this season, first 15 games. Oof, these were dark times, brother. 59.0%. Woof. 32nd in the NHL. And then last 10 games, 95.5%. First in the NHL. We thought seeing the 59% was so nuts because of the fall off since the Stanley Cup Finals and the playoffs, killing 20-something consecutive in a row. But we knew they were capable of it. I do think, and me included, maybe was freaking out a little bit too much about the personnel. You miss McLeod, you miss Fogle, Vinny, Cece, all those names. But come on now, the same guys are playing Nuge, Janmark, Connor Brown, Henrique. And I think Ty Emerson has also been a stud on the PK as well. That number is insane. And I was worried we were going to be NHL record low. We've got arguably the best power play of all time. I was worried we were going to have the worst penalty kill of all time, but they've really found their game.
Absolutely. And I think it's just the return of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins too, just looking a little bit more like Nugent-Hopkins, vintage Nugent-Hopkins. Everybody's just stepping up. So yeah, the boys are looking good on the PK.
All right, let's check out now some goaltender talk, courtesy of Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Hit the trails this winter and the waves next summer. As fellow hockey fans, the team at Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are helping Oilers Nation fans gear up. They're home of an ATV for just $50 bi-weekly, or cruise the open water next summer for as low as $105 bi-weekly. Sherwood Power Sports and Marine are hockey fans, helping hockey fans get ready for their next adventure with motorcycles, quads, e-bikes, boats, and scoot, baby. You can get a scooter down there at Sherwood Power Sports Marine. I love the city scoots, but all you kids out there, you teenagers, are wrecking up the scoots downtown, so I need one of my own. Let's pull it up here. Patrick, tail the tape between these two goalies. You guys bitching about Calvin Pickard all season. Well, look at Daniil Tarasov. Could, in fact, be worse. Picks 5-3-0, 250 goals against, 8.95 save percentage. And then Tarasov, 403 goals against with an 861 save percentage. I'm sure the Edmonton Oilers are licking their chops right now, knowing that it's going to be Tarasov. And, more notably, it's the battle of the backups this evening. You got to like that. I believe Pickard, this is once again Greg's, I didn't fact check this. He's only allowed more than 3 goals once this entire season, back in his first game against Chicago. That game has been messing with Pickard's numbers all season long because he's been pretty consistent, pretty damn good. He was solid in his last meeting, 28 of 31 in a 4-3 win over Utah last Friday, 6 days ago to be correct. And I'm totally fine with Picks getting the start and giving Stu a rest. And there you see 9th start of the season. And it's like, yes, Columbus has a good offense. We know the goals for numbers and everything, but Picks has handled every single situation we throw him in. He's beaten the Dallas Stars a number of times over the last 2 years. I got all the confidence in the world with Picks here, and I do think that sets up Skinner against the St. Louis Blues on Saturday night back in Rogers Place. Maybe I'm a bad person for it, but I'm going to be booing all the way from this office at Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. We had Tyler Ennis on today, and it's so funny, right? From the player to fan perspective. He's like, I just don't get why fans would boo. I was like, brother, how much time you got? Okay. It's my right. Fan, short for fanatic. You can do whatever we want. But thoughts, Picks getting the start tonight. Skinner will more than likely get it on Saturday. But Picks, solid numbers, dog.
Yeah, Stuart, with Pickard, you know what you're going to get. With Stuart Skinner, it's either a low or a high. With Pickard, it's just kind of right here. Might give up a couple goals, but he's going to be steady. So tonight, I'd expect the same for Calvin Pickard.
I believe Stuart Skinner as well. 4 of his last 5 games has above a .930 save percentage.
Yeah.
I think he might be back.
Yeah.
Don't get the word out, but I think he might be back. And then Tarasov, right? Merzlikins played the last 7 straight games for the Columbus Blue Jackets, so they had to give him a go. Tough that they picked the Edmonton Oilers offense for this guy to have to go in. I feel for him. And yeah, he struggled mightily. And I don't know, we've seen the Oilers get goalie by backups before. Knock on wood for all the things we say tonight, but I feel confident about this one. How many goals do the Oilers score tonight? Give me a number.
5.
Pat?
How many the Oilers score?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like 5 as well.
Okay, I was going to say 4, so you guys made me feel even better. All right, I got to change the bankroll to the over. Damn it. All right, let's check out now the Columbus lineup brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg, because Greta is where Oilers Nation loves to party, home and away, pre or post. It does not matter. We're going to be there all season for Oilers Nation watch parties throughout the year. Come on now, check out the great street food menu, games in the arcade, weekly drink specials, because Greta Bar is the place to be. All right, so this is our projected Columbus Blue Jackets lineup this evening. Top line, Dmitry Voronkrov, Sean Monahan with Kirill Marchenko. Second line, the kid line, Cole Sillinger with Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson. Third line, ZAR, Zach Aston Reese with Justin Danforth and Mathieu Olivier. Said it just like that. Also, today Liam said he's French from Mississippi. What? I guess that's what Liam said. You'd think I'd Google that.
Sure.
Somebody maybe want to Google that for me. Correct me. Michael Pythia, MP. That's what I'm going to call him. Sean Crowley with Kevin LeBanc. We then look at the D-core top pairing of Zach Werenski with Dante Fabro, who is now playing first pair minutes. Wow. Ivan Provorov, future Edmonton Oiler. Then with Damon Severson, and then third pairing Jake Christensen with one Jordan Harris. So we look at that line, or sorry, that lineup. That's the other part I was forgetting about that one. And this team, Pat, can you just go back to the forwards for a quick second? Thank you. I know you're doing other things back there, being just a stud producer. I wish you guys could see when he's working hard back there and he's furrowing his brow. He's just locked in, dialed in, like Calvin Pickard later tonight. But look at that top unit there. Monahan's having a great season. Marchenko, great season. But that kid line as well, right? Sillinger, Fantilli, Kent Johnson. And Fantilli, former third overall. Sillinger, he's still young. And then Kent Johnson. Panger, I texted you earlier today. Whoops, I just dropped my cell phone. Of who was your player to watch. And you had one who's a guy who's been tearing it up since he's coming back from injury.
Absolutely. Kent Johnson, former first round pick, 5th overall. He had an injury to start the year, and the last 10 games, he played 10 games. He's got 12 points and 6 goals. He wears former Blue Jackets legend Sergei Fedorov's 91, and the kid can snipe. So he's the player to look out for on the Blue Jackets for me.
Yep, I like that as well. I'm just looking through who would be my player to watch. I'm probably going to go with Kirill Marchenko, right? That's a guy, as I mentioned, Yegor Shinnikov is not going to play this evening, but Marchenko, he's had a hell of a season so far. Just checking his exact numbers. 10 goals, 14 assists, 24 points in 24 games. Been a good year for him so far, but can you switch to the deep pairings, Pat? Because Dante Fabro, can you believe that? There he is, playing with one of the best in the NHL in Zach Werenski, who Werenski is tearing it up. I believe he's third in all D-men scoring in the NHL, behind Makar and one Quinn Hughes. Pretty good company to be in, if you ask me. But Fabro, right? He was picked up off waivers from the Preds back in November. And boy, oh boy, does it look like this thing is working out. He's got 3 points in his last 5 games. He's playing those top minutes with Werenski. Get this, his ice time in his last 5 games, 25-12, 23-27, 24-27, 22-40, 25-36. God damn, do I wish the Oilers were lower in the waiver order when this happened earlier this season. Would have liked to see him in an Edmonton Oilers jersey. Look at that, like, top 4 for the Jackets, man. That's a pretty good unit right there with Ivan Provorov, as I said, future Oiler. Just wait for the trade deadline. Severson as well. I wanted him, but years ago, I believe he signed or whatever. Was he traded? Sign and trade, I actually think. Maybe something like that. Thoughts on the D-core and Dante Fabro just working out, I guess.
Yeah, like you said, that top 4 is really nice. You got Provorov there. Is he your left shot, do you know?
Let me look.
But yeah, I think there are talks that he's going to be maybe a good fit on the Oilers. He's an unrestricted heading into next season. But yeah, that top 4, pretty good. But the bottom pairing, who do they got? Left. Shoots left. Who is that? I don't even know who the bottom pairing is.
Jake Christensen and Jordan Harris. Those are their names. We'll stop it there.
Oilers will likely feast on that third pairing then tonight.
Final one for my player to watch. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, somebody said in the chat, Sean Monahan. Don't overthink it. He's having a very good year. Obviously, tough situation for Monahan to come into this season, as he wanted to be playing with his good buddy Johnny Gaudreau, but unfortunately that hasn't happened. But dude, he's dug deep, and I think it's very funny what Sean Monahan has been traded for first round picks. He's had first round picks attached to him before, and he's gone up and down. He's had injury issues, and here he is all of a sudden playing point per game hockey for these Columbus Blue Jackets, or 22 points. That's right. Before we talk bets, I do want to mention this, because this is your final day to get them. Is technically our sale is still going on nationgear.ca. Is it still Black Friday if it's next Thursday? I don't know. We're going to call it that because it's still going on till tomorrow, December 6th, final day. Come on now. You can browse the My City collection. Pull it up there, Panger. Look at these. Edmonton hockey, established 1979. They come in black, they come in white and gray as well, crew necks and hoodies. Okay, let's get a question for you. This is totally off topic. Okay. What is the year that you could like create a company and put established something? I'm going to leave names out of this. I have an acquaintance of mine started a podcast, and in the logo, he put established 2024. And I went, what? Why would you do that? Maybe is that just me? What do you guys think about that? Like, if it was like 2016, I'd be like, yeah, dude, that's like 8 years. Totally brag about that.
Oh, I see.
That's not even like 11 months.
I would even say probably like acceptable is like 2013.
Yeah, okay, that's where you're at. Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking under 2010.
Yeah, okay, right. So 2024 is egregious to put on your logo.
I mean,
I hope my buddy's not watching right now. Hey, this is how I had to tell you. Okay,
started.
I didn't have the balls to tell you in person, so this is how you're gonna find out. Egregious. Change that. Also, hope will never die at nationgear.ca. We got a Christmas sweater that we dropped. Pucks cheer and holiday gear. We got a good team here writing these things. I didn't write any of these. This is all supplied to me. Awesome sweater. Get it, nationgear.ca. It's an Oilers Nation holiday. These go hard at your company Christmas parties. I've already been sent photos of dudes partying at their work parties, and guys going, where'd you get that? They usually said, I'll give you one guess. Oilersnation.com. Actually, nationgear.ca to be more exact. And finally, let's talk some bets. Bet365. Time for Bordzy's bankroll. Proud partner of Pregaming with Bordzy is Bet365. Open an account today and bet on a huge range of markets, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code NATION. I got destroyed on Tuesday night when 0 for 3 tends to happen. The Oilers don't score goals. I tend to not profit off of anything. I did go for some shot props. Still didn't happen tonight. We're riding the shot prop train as well. I like Nursey, the doctor, to get over 2.5 shots on goal, plus 115 tonight. He has 14 shots on goal over his last 4 games. He had 4 Tuesday night against the Vegas Golden Knights. And since Darnell's return from injury, he's ripping the puck on net a lot more. A lot more you see him skating up in the rush and just saying, screw it, I'm going to go fire one on net. And we've seen him over the years score a couple of those goals. Second one, Skin Dog, Jeff Skinner. I'm liking that third line. As I said, don't pass like Pangs told you to pass. You rip that puck. You do what Evander Kane's school of thinking tells you to do. Skinner, has 11 shots on goal over his last 4 games, and he's hit this over 2.5 in back-to-back games. And then finally, I like Oilers puck line tonight, -1.5. It's -110, or -115, actually. That's right. I was thinking about the over. It was -140, so not nearly enough juice there. And I don't know. I'm just thinking the Oilers, they're going to have a good one. And come on now, they would have covered 4 of their last 5 at home versus Columbus. All those wins I walked you through, they all covered puck line, and last season specifically, they won 4-1 in this game home at Rogers Place. Panger, when you look at these 3 bets, which one do you like the most? And did you wager on anything this evening?
I did not. No, not this evening.
Oh, I forgot to place my football bets. I'm so stupid. Oh,
you got to get that auto bet.
Yeah, no, that's bad. But no, thoughts on the bets?
You know what? I'll agree with you. The same one, the Jeff Skinner, 2.5 over there. I mean, yeah, he's gonna make some passes, but at the same time, I think they're looking confident on that third line, so he'll be firing the pill tonight.
Pat, what do you like the most out of those 3? You're a smart man.
I would probably go with the Nurse shot prop if I had to pick one, but I do like parlaying the 2 outsides there, puck line and Nurse. The only reason I don't like the Jeff Skinner one is because every time I bet on his shot
Yeah.
off, he gets like one shot. I swear.
Yeah.
I don't want to A curse him or myself. So or the team. So I think that's why I'm staying away from it. But I do like all.
Yeah, it's a problem. I actually said to Brett on Tuesday, I was like, man, I like.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh, you're
I
muted.
like the two outside ones. That's the Cole's notes.
Oh, it was perfect. He was actually swearing the whole time, so he had to take out. So we're on a delay
That's what
button
I was
over
gonna
here at Oilersnation. Sorry, boys. Producer, I threw him under the bus right there. But for me, I did parlay all three of these actually as well. And who said it in here? They asked McHydra, what does puck line mean? So it means they got to win by 2. So minus 1.5 means you're going to win by 2. You're going to cover by 2. Cover usually means minus. And then the reverse, right, would be plus 1.5, which means Columbus could lose the game but still be fine, or they could lose by 1 goal and still be fine. Checking in on some bets in here. Mackay and Dry got a weird bet boost of Oilers money line. Monahan point, Marchenko 1 point, but it was like 250. Yeah, I hate that bet. There's multiple Blue Jackets on that one. What do we got in here? Mistaken Mexican Oilers puck line over 6.5 and McDavid over 2.5. Also bet exact score 5-2. Let's go Oilers. And that answers my final question to both of you. Give me a score prediction and an anytime goal score this evening.
5-2 anytime goal score. I'm going to say Podkolzin.
I like that. Also, Patrick said having a bleeper on the soundboard would be hilarious. You just have me just well, you bleep the whole thing. Pat, score prediction. Make sure your mic's up as well.
Mhm.
And anytime goal score.
I'm going to go 5-3. And how can you not go with Zach Hyman? I mean, he's just due, obviously, because he hasn't played. But I hope that the break has given him like chance to clear his mind and just get back to normal Zach Hyman.
He was due before he missed
Exactly.
all these games, so it's built up. And now that he got snubbed as well, I like Zach Hyman. I think he was plus 125. He had the third best or third worst, I guess, Oilers odds to score a goal this evening. Other predictions: 6-3, 6-2, anytime Kapanen, like that. Rusty 6-1, Zachary Martin Hyman, my favorite children's book author, and Tyan says Leon anytime goal score. Davin Dry power play goal. Fighting Amish. Love this. 8-1 Oilers. McDavid Hattie for the parents. Why not, man?
Oh, yeah.
I don't do nice things like that for my mom, but hey, we can do what we got to do. I will say finally closing out here. I love you all. Puck drop. You got 14 minutes to wait, but we're going to go get set up out here and making maybe an order of Oodle Noodle. Finally, big shouts out to Oodle Noodle. We love him. And it is Nudesmas going on right now. Panger, I say it every night. Perverts. No, it's free nudes for a year, but it's not that. It's noodles, baby, and many other exciting prizes. Go enter the raffles in person, all 16 competing, competing, is that the word? They're all in on this contest, 16 of them in the Edmonton area. Every time you take out an order or dine in, whatever, you enter the raffle, and then Christmas around there, they will draw that raffle, and I believe 16 separate people are winning nudes for a year. Normally, that costs a subscription on a different website. Boom. I know Wanya will appreciate that. And that'll do it for us this evening. Obviously, tonight, we'll be live right here on the ON YouTube, Oilersnation After Dark. Me, Panger, Patrick, hopefully breaking down an Edmonton Oilers puck line victory, because if I don't hit any of those bets, I'm going to have to shame reload on Saturday night, and I don't want to do that. I love you all. Throw down your courtesy like on your way out. Get in the chat during the game. I'll be in there talking to everybody, and good luck. Peace out. I love you all.